The Boundary Park Alert System is sponsored by Pendle New Tech, a family-run Lancashire business you can rely on for everything fire safety related, including supply and installation, maintenance, testing, certification, alarms, risk assessments, like I said, anything fire safety related. But what do I know? Visit pendlenewtech.com and they'll sort you right out. Check the show notes for more information.
This is a test of the Boundary Park Alert System.
Hello and welcome to the Boundary Park Alert System with me, Matt Dean, here in North Manchester in the pissing rain. Andy, are you nice and cosy in your studio down in London, mate?
Yeah, I just told you I haven't switched the heating on again. You've asked that just to invite that response. I mean, it's cosy, but it's cold.
Oh, well, you'll have to remember, Andy. You'll have to start remembering, put the heating on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
my own fault.
Well, listen, it's okay because we've got some hot football action to discuss from yesterday's trip to Crawley and Latics, welcoming Walsall during the week. But before we do that, we have a fan guest. So please, Andy, do your fan guest intro.
A debutant fan guest, if I'm right. So, when was your first game, fan guest?
So I was talking to my dad because I couldn't exactly give you an exact date, but I was talking to my dad and he reckons he took me when I was 18 months old. So it would have been mid-season in 87. He can't remember the game, but 18 month old, 1987, with my dad.
Very good, yeah. Well, I was going at that time as well. Where did he take you? On the Chaddy end?
He worked there. He worked for the ground staff at Boundary Park in the late 80s. So I was a constant. He just used to leave me at Rochdale Road end and say, I'll be back at half time with a pie and a bovril.
That was an open end in those days and all.
Yeah. So
the fan guest was 18 months old, drinking hot bovril and a pie in the cold and rain on the Rochdale Road end. That's how
left alone with no roof on it. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's how you harden up a child.
Yeah. Who was your first favourite player?
Yeah, I was absolutely infatuated with Gunnar Haller. Gunnar Haller was my hero growing up.
Brilliant.
He comes up a lot, Gunnar Haller, doesn't he? I liked Gunnar Haller at the time. Obviously, he was an international. I think he's our most capped ever player, isn't he, at international level? And he was obviously a very good player, but he wasn't. He was far from my favourite. I had a fair few in front. What is your favourite ever away game?
So I was thinking about this, and I couldn't really put my finger on one specific one other than the obvious, obviously. But I think back in the day when I was in the same league as Blackpool was always a great day out. You go and watch Blackpool and have a day out in Blackpool and have a night out in Blackpool. So I used to enjoy being in the same league as Blackpool, I think.
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't. I'm surprised you didn't say. You just mentioned you went to MK Dons away in the cup the other week. So
it was absolutely brilliant, wasn't it? It was brilliant.
That'd be top three, hadn't it?
Blackpool. I just think of the playoff semi-final in 2007, which was a monumental letdown, wasn't it? Blackpool. And give us a little known fact about yourself.
So just to keep it Oldham related, I was once given a fat lip by Fitzall. It was the Burton Albion game. I don't know if you remember it. It was 2-1 down. They stuck Fitzall up front. Ball come over the top. Fitzall stuck his head on the ball. I was stood behind the guards in Chaddy, and then he ran over to celebrate. There was only me and my mate stood there. But as he scored, everybody piled down. I got nudged to the side. He stuck his arms out, and his right arm made contact with my lip. So, I got a fat lip off Fitzall.
Nice, good story. So
that's a good way to get a fat lip off Fitzall, as opposed to saying the wrong thing to him on a night out in town. So that's a relief.
So go on then. Who are you?
Well, my name's Nick Moore. Oldham fan since 18 months old, long suffering, and currently live in Middlewich, just outside of Crewe.
Crewe away will be good for you. It's Tuesday night, isn't it, this year? I think it's a midweek.
I'm looking forward to it, yeah. So a lot of my neighbours are Crewe fans, and we do a pub quiz on a Sunday, and the Crewe mascot He's one of the opposing teams in the quiz, and he's always trying to talk to me, a little lad, trying to get him on board, saying, you know, we'll come to a Crew game and I'll take you on the pitch and all that lot. But I said, yeah, I'll see you when Oldham are there.
Yeah, exactly.
Good result for Crew yesterday. They battered Tranmere, didn't they?
Yeah, it's
4-0, I think.
Yeah, I think they got a late goal. They got 4-1 in the end or something.
Was it 4-1 in the end? Yeah. Consolation. Well, that's good because Tranmere are our opponents on Saturday, and I don't think they're having the best spell. However, let's not talk about Tranmere. Let's talk about the week that has been for Latics. We had Walsall at home, which we covered on the phone-in, and Crawley yesterday. Andy, you were there. You were in West Sussex, living the dream at Crawley.
Yeah.
So, since you were there, let's have your assessment first and foremost of the performance and the result.
Can I just begin by giving my assessment of the non-football inside of Crawley? And I've been to Crawley, must be half a dozen times over the years, League One and League Two, probably. In fact, the last time I went there was a 2-2 draw as well on a Tuesday night of the year we got relegated, and Chris Misselou scored a curler around the keeper, very similar or reminiscent of Michael Mellon's goal yesterday, actually. But every time I've been to Crawley, I remember they've got one sort of club bar, like, you know, fan bar, if you like, just around the sort of corner flag end. And it's quite welcoming. They let away fans in there, even with colours on. There's obviously never any trouble. It's quite a nice bar to go in. So I went down with my eldest son yesterday. You know, drove down and went to that bar. When it got there, unless my memory's deceiving me, there wasn't what was on display yesterday for the first time. So in the 3 years we've been away, they've obviously invested quite a bit of money. They had like a massive big sort of 3G pitches down. They had like people like you would imagine Crawley Town's Community Trust were running it, so they had loads of stewards on. Only kids were allowed on. They had loads of footballs there, all the nets out, so the kids are all playing around. They've got like a band on. They had a DJ and a compere on. They had people singing Christmas carols. They got a massive fan area, like with TVs up with all the football on and everyone around drinking beer. And it was absolutely brilliant. Wow, it's really, really good fan zone right outside the ground. Dead welcoming, really friendly. Top work. Absolutely brilliant. Really enjoyed it. My son loved it, playing football and, you know, mugged me off to buy him a football in the club shop and all that. Great day out. So, good on Crawley, really, really good. Just shows you what you can do if with a bit of stability in the Football League for a club that is really a non-league club, truthfully. They've got that infrastructure in place really well. Anyway, so that's that. Just a decent observation. When it went into the ground, obviously, we were a bit light on support yesterday. A lot of usual faces weren't there. What was the away attendance? Did anyone see? Looked about 400 from behind the goal. But
315, they said on play or something like that.
315.
Yeah, it certainly was respectable enough, all things considered, and it didn't look too bad in the visuals from the telly with the fans behind the goal and in the seats. So yeah, it looked all right.
Yeah, but before Christmas, you kind of get it. It's a hell of a schlep from the northwest all the way down to Sussex, isn't it? It took me an hour and a half from West London, let alone from Oldham. So I could understand that. But yeah, a bit light on numbers. So you know, we did what we could to try and get behind. Or the people who were there were trying to get behind the team as much as possible without the obvious sort of people to kick it off. But that first half was absolutely atrocious, wasn't it? It was abysmal. Absolutely shocking performance in that first half. I don't know how we got away with not being 2-3 down. You know, we did. I don't think we won a second ball at all in the first half. Not one. So the ball would come forward, it get knocked down, and you would guarantee that it'd be picked up by an approaching Crawley midfielder, and they'd just pass it around. Nice little triangles, get around the back of us, whip a cross in. You were just like praying that they weren't going to get a hatful in that first half. Absolute shocking.
So before we come on to the second half, then can we talk about why that was? Because we have to talk about why that was, because again, the formation that started the game was not the formation that was going to win the game, and it had to be changed, and that is becoming increasingly frustrating for fans now, I think. Nick, did you watch it yesterday?
I did, yeah. I mean, I saw the starting lineup before the game started. It looked like a pretty standard 4-4-2, didn't it? And then when they kicked off, it was quite apparent that Hannon had slipped into that wing-back position, Caprice in a wing-back, and you're playing 3 centre-backs, one of which being Ogle. So then you're back to that 5-3-2 that Mickey seems to like playing, doesn't he? And of course, 3rd minute, Hannon gets took down by Hudson, pretty nasty gash on his leg. And he kept with the formation. He brought Luke on them.
It might teach Hannon and Mellon to actually put some shin pads in.
Yeah.
A pair of them just wander around with socks, don't they? I thought you weren't allowed to do that anymore. But anyway,
well, that incident as well, though, it was the second incident between Hannon and Hudson. If you relate to the Walsall goal, and there's a communication issue there, like between Hannon and Hudson. I don't know. Hannon needed to be screamed at against Walsall, put the ball into touch, or at least Hudson needs to let him know where he is to pass it back to him. And then them two coming clashes together. Hudson's got to be saying to Han, that is my ball, get out of the way. So I think those two things were unavoidable and both involving the same player. So maybe there's a communication issue there. But yeah, I think in terms of...
He's not naturally a defensive player, is he? He's an attacking player, and he's trying to fill in on that role. You had Leak on the bench and Sutton played pretty well last week. Why wasn't Sutton playing centre-back instead of Ogle and Ogle on the left? I know Ogle had a pretty crappy start to the season, but I think he played all right today, Ogle, to be fair.
Yeah, he wasn't the worst by any stretch. I mean, Hannon played wing-back for Gateshead. So he has played that. He has played that role as a wing-back role. I mean, I didn't have a problem with the idea of 3-5-2, if I'm honest. So long as it is 3-5-2 and not 5-3-2, as Nick says. As long as it's meant to release players forward into attacking positions.
But it doesn't, does it? We tried it against MK last week. That it didn't work, and it with Pett and Wood sitting in the holding midfield positions, it was 7 at the back, and then we had Pett playing further forward, and he did play further forwards, but you had the 3 up front who were isolated. There was absolutely nobody in the middle, which is what you were saying, Andy, about the second balls. It was just getting humphed over that big space to Mellon Fondop, who couldn't do anything with it. It comes straight back into that space. There's nobody there. And it just did not work. And it just kept... That was the first 45 minutes, and we went behind. We could have been 2 when they hit the bar.
I don't know what Hudson was doing there. He could have come out and collected that second one. He came out, stopped. They turned in. He looked like he could have picked it up. He didn't, and then so that was a calamity of errors. For me, he did froze. Yeah, he froze. Yeah, I'm not sure it's the... Did he play 3-5-2 at MK Dons, or did he not play one forward? Because he was trying the 2 inside forwards.
Yeah, but he played 3 at the back, and then he played 5 across, and then he played 2 in behind, and one up front. But either way, it was still... The thing is that this is what I can't quite get, is that when our best performances this season have been with 4 at the back.
They have, but we played 3-5-2 for much of last season, so it's not like it's a complete shock that 3-5-2 should be a go-to formation for me. The problem is what we haven't got with the midfield is we haven't got anybody driving forward, running with the ball until Stevens came on. So what you needed is somebody to carry the ball and attack the players, and it could go either way. So the defender hasn't got a clue. Is he going to go right or left? Is he going to cut inside? Is he going to go wide? But somebody driving forward and getting beyond the strikers. So the problem when you've got Woods, Payne is not naturally that player. Right? That's not his position. We've been trying to put a square peg in a round hole there for me. And unfortunately, Woods and Pett have not got the legs anymore. You watch them getting about the pitch, they're good enough for a mid-table League Two side, which is what we are, to sort of see us through the season, I think. But you're not going to push them with those 2 34, 35-year-old whatever legs you've got in that centre midfield that just can't bomb on. You look at that Walsall team in the week. They had pace, strength, physicality, athleticism all over that pitch. They weren't necessarily the most technical side I've ever seen, but they were powerful and fast and would run. Our boys in the middle of the park cannot get up and down that pitch because they just haven't got the legs anymore. And that for me is where that 3-5 fails. Is like you say, Matt. You end up just sitting deep. So you end up packing the defence out.
Yeah, it just doesn't work, and it hasn't worked this season. And My frustrations have come in the last since the Accrington game, basically, we went on that little run which started against Northampton, and we went on a decent little run. We beat Newport at the end of that 4-game unbeaten run, and then that's when he decided to tinker with the formation, just kind of out of the blue, and he went with one up top against Accrington. And I know he says it's 3, but because the system doesn't work and the players aren't confident with it, and we don't play high enough up the pitch, it always reverts to that one up front. Anyway, then yesterday, he changed it at half time, and it
was definitely 2 up front yesterday. To be fair, that's
what I was
2
up front. It was 2 up front. But yesterday, the midfield was bypassed yesterday, and the balls were going long. And then with the one change at half time where he went 4 at the back. But the problem is, what my frustration, and I'm sure plenty of others, and I'll ask Nick on this question, was why go to Crawley? With all due respect to Crawley, who are a decent, they know, like you said, Andy, they knock it about and they know what they're trying to do with it. And they're not a bad side, really. I don't think they'll go down off what I've seen. But we go there to defend the 0-0. Yeah. And we don't go there to get ahead. When we go ahead in games, we tend to win the game. We've seen that. But Mellon, he seems obsessed with protecting the 0-0 first and foremost. And that's how he set up yesterday. And what it actually does, it doesn't work because we went a goal behind anyway. And then we're chasing the game. Then he has to change his formation. And when he went to the back 4 with Woods in front, when Woods does much better when he's the one player in front of a back 4 controlling that position. He's much, much more assured and he knows what he's doing. And I thought Payne was more effective when he was pushed up. Stevens in the middle, Pet out on the right-hand side. And then lo and behold, you get Mellon in the box with the ball coming back to him so he can shoot, and he scores a brilliant goal. And it was a really good goal, really good play from Stevens. And then the second goal, again, good flick on from Garner, nice touch from Mellon, cracking finish from Stevens. And all of a sudden, it looks like, oh, hang on a minute, we're not just trying to lump the ball up to these 2 players up front, picking up scraps that we're not getting anywhere. We're playing to the strengths of our forwards, and it actually worked. Problem is, obviously, we went 2 goals up. If Mellon flips his philosophy and he tries to get 2 goals up early on and then defends a lead and sort of shores it up towards the end of the game rather than shoring it up at the beginning of the game, surely we'll actually start winning more games against teams like Crawley. And that's the frustration for me. Nick, how do you feel about
I totally. It's like he has this go-to thing away from home where, like you say, he goes there for a 0-0 or, to try and defend. I'm totally on, but we need to come out of the traps. We're good out of the traps. Come out of the traps, defend in the second half. And he seems to have the flip of that, doesn't he? He wants to defend in the first half and attack in the second, doesn't he? It's he needs to rethink it, definitely.
He's got a good. You got to remember, he's got a good away record. His record at Boundary Park is the bit that lets him down. He's got a good away record. So, like I said,
it's home and away. Let's look. Home record's really poor.
It is,
and we've got to do more to try and win more. And he's got. I've not listened to his interview yet. We'll listen to it in a minute. But he'll say it repeatedly, and I believe him that he wants to win every game, and he sets up to win every game. But looking at the season, looking at how it's panning out, our defensive record's really good. We know that, but we've got to start scoring more goals. And you can't say that we haven't got players on the pitch that are capable of scoring goals. Stevens is obviously capable, good finishes today. And Mellon clearly is capable. Brilliant finishes today. We know that Fondop's capable because he banged a load of goals in last season, but you've got to play to the strengths. And long balls over the top, whether it's Quigley, whether it's Garner, Mellon, Fondop, it's just not to any of their strengths. We're not packing the midfield and playing high enough off the pitch to win the knockdowns or win the second ball. So it's completely ineffective. And it's proving ineffective because he's changing the system all the time because it's not working. And that's really frustrating. There is a system there. I feel the system that I've been saying it most of the season, that 4-1-3-2 system seems to be our best system. We don't have wing backs that are really effective. So why are we trying to use them? It just doesn't seem to make any great amount of sense. And it's not yielding results for him. We've picked up a point now for the first point in 3 games. So that's good. But I think he just needs to figure out what his best team is, his best formation is, and stick with it and give the players the confidence that yeah, this is what we're doing, because there's been too much tinkering around for me, and I think it's had a negative effect.
Just going back to that defensive point as well, I feel at the start of the season we look rock solid at the back, we look really well at the back, but I feel like over the last few weeks we're looking really shaky at the back. It's definitely dipped off defensively. I think Hudson's had a couple of howlers when he run out at MK Dons for that final goal. I know he was trying to chase the game and get a late goal. Yesterday when he froze, I feel like he's dipped off a little bit. Monte yesterday was arguably at fault for both goals if you watch him back.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and Payne was weak. Payne was weak in the second goal as well. Didn't get attacked a good challenger when he had the opportunity. But look, individuals are going to make errors. Players are going to have off days. Like, I'm not going to hold that against them. And
he doesn't get in my squad, Payne. He just doesn't get in my squad. I don't see what he puts into the game, to be honest.
I think from the point, I think the reason he gets, I thought he did better in the second half when he was a bit further forward on the left hand side, but I think he's just got the legs, like Andy was alluding to before. Like there's that need for younger players. I think Hammond comes straight back into that side, and I think that Stevens could play on the left if Hammond played in behind in that sort of like number 10 role. So we've still yet to see sort of combinations of the team that haven't been fully fit and all together yet. But you know, Robson could have been in that side yesterday. Obviously, he was suspended. So we picked up a point. That's a positive. Let's have a listen to Mickey Mellon and see what his thoughts were.
An afternoon of mixed emotions. What are your overriding thoughts at the end of it?
Well, we put ourselves through it, don't we? We put the supports through it, put ourselves through it. I thought in the first half we were poor. I thought we were poor, but I thought we were poor in people sort of wanting to stand in a defensive unit and no want to come out and get to people. So there was too many people doing that. We had a wee change around at half time, which meant that they had to come out. So we did that. Second half, Stevens comes on and we looked miles better. And the tempo went up and we looked a lot more aggressive and a lot better version of ourselves. We'd have to say we scored two unbelievable goals, two absolute crackers. And right at the end, we'll be disappointed with that defending at the end. We will be. They would be disappointed with that too. Anybody would. We spoke about it there, and they're the wee mistakes that I think that was only one moment in a whole second half where I could probably go, I didn't like that. I think pretty much most of the other stuff that we did was very, very good.
As you say, Jack Stevens came on at the break. What else changed at half time?
We changed the shape, and we told people you can't stand in a unit and just spectate. You've got to look for opportunities to come out the unit and go and get to people at this level, or at any level really. And we just did that better. And then because of that, the tempo got lifted, absolutely got lifted, and it came to a level that we need to operate at if we're going to be pick up points in this division. Really disappointed that we haven't been able to, I wouldn't say hang on, because I don't think we were hanging on, but get it over the line. You've got to be able to do that. At the end of the day, that's what the good teams do. They get that over the line, and we've got to say we're still working towards that, being that good team that we all want to see. And that's a harsh lesson for us this evening.
Michael Mellon and Jack Stevens both on the score sheet, but even aside from their goals, they both had a real impact on the game.
Oh, they're outstanding. And it's always difficult for me to stand here and speak about Michael, but there's only so many players in this league that can score that goal. Only so many. And he had a hand in the second one as well. And he deserves a lot of credit because he's a young player that's came here and playing for his dad, and that could weigh heavily on young players, but he just gets on with it, and that tells you an awful lot, as I've said before, about his temperament. Stevens I'm delighted with because he's had such a long layoff, and that's the Stevens that we wanted to bring to the football club, full of energy and running and class and quality. So it was good to see him produce that type of performance. So they're the positives. We'll take the positives away, and we'll speak about the things that we know that we're going to be better at. But we did put ourselves through it. We absolutely put ourselves through it. But you know what? Credit to the players in the second half. They came out and they responded, and and played more like towards the Oldham team that we want to see.
2 goals in the space of, I think, 18 minutes at the start of the second half, and there was a real intent during that period, wasn't there?
Well, I thought we should have had a penalty. I don't see any reason why we didn't. That makes it 3-1. I don't get that. I really don't get that. But then maybe you say, oh, we don't get that, and thank the Lord that he changed his mind at the end when it would have been the worst. I don't want to say miscarriage, just it's only a game of football, but wow, I've not seen anything like that. I haven't seen anything like that. I wanted to give you an amount of time. I have never seen anything like that. Fourth official didn't want to get involved. What? So you tell us before the game, you say, fourth official will help me make decisions. Is the word for word what he said. Fourth official went missing. He did the old Homer Simpson into the hedge trick, disappearing into the hedge. You know, we've all seen the thing, haven't we? He did that. Brilliant at it, by the way. Masterclass at disappearing into the hedge. And thank God that somebody seen sense and didn't give it. But we'll take what we've got. Disappointed that when you go 2-1 up, especially from the situation that we're in the first half, that we don't get it over the line. But we'll go again.
And just finally, Luke Hannon, he had to be substituted after 6 minutes. Well, firstly, I suppose, how much of a disruption did that have it early on, and also
he got a sore shin. He got a real whack in the shin. He's got a real sore one there. How much a difference it made, we'll never know that, Al. But certainly, I was disappointed with the way that we sort of played with 2 10s and a striker. Centre backs have got to look for opportunities to try and come in and play against people, especially if we want to get one up top. We didn't do that enough in the first half. That's something that we need to get. We've had to get better at. But we had a change of shape. We went to the other one that kind of suits us, and it worked.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you all.
We're the fire experts, fire safety experts at Pendle New Tech. We train fire marshals, fire safety marshals at Pendle New Tech.
Pendle New Tech have fire experts across the UK covering all your local and national needs. With over 100 years experience in the fire safety industry, you know that you can trust
Pendle New Tech.
Right, enough of that now. Mickey Mellon there, being spoken to by Alan from the club. A few things to unpack about that, I think. Mickey Mellon, as always, pretty honest, I think, generally speaking. Do you think that he mentioned about the side being defensive and you know that well basically was just repeating what we said in terms of what the side like. So that formation of the 5, it just doesn't seem to work for them as players, does it? Because when he switched it and he told them to, give them that other role, it worked. So I'm hoping from that it means that he's not going to persist with that 3-5, because it just seems to make the team so defensive. I mean, do you think that we'll see less of it going forward, or what?
I would hope so. I mean, from what he's saying, he's seen what we've seen. He just doesn't seem to react to it, does he? We'll see against Tranmere what kind of squad he puts out against Tranmere. But he's definitely seen what we've seen. Will he change it? Will he go 4-4-2? Will he tell him to come out with an attack early on? And then we'll have Robson back to Tranmere as well, won't we? So.
Is it? Do you remember? Probably not the best piece of evidence to use, but you remember David Unsworth telling us when we spoke to him about it doesn't matter what formation, it's about the players. Like the formation, you get obsessed with formations. It doesn't really matter. It's about people can move around the pitch, set in any formation. Worse to that effect. You have to assume we're novices. We're not professionals. Formation seems to the layperson to have an effect on how you play. But he, like I said, when I saw the team sheet and I saw 3-5-2, because it wasn't one striker, because it wasn't the 2 inside forwards, trying to support behind, I wasn't overly bothered. Like I wasn't down on the idea of a 3-5-2 because it worked last season at times, and if it releases players through the middle to join with the strikers, then great. I'm all for the formation. but they just didn't play that way. They just sat deep, and that was the problem. And he's just referenced it there. So one assumes he's not giving them the instruction in a 3-5-2 to sit deep, because it doesn't sound like he's giving them that instruction. It's just the way that they're setting up. Like I repeat, for me, it's about legs through the middle. When Stevens came on in the second half, you had somebody running at them, and that put them on the back foot. They started to sit deep because they were frightened of his pace and his trickery and the fact that he was prepared to have a go. And I thought Stevens really, really affected the game. I thought he was excellent when he came on. For half an hour, we were excellent. We started to switch off in the last 15 minutes again. But for that half an hour, I thought we played some good stuff. We were putting it on the floor. We were passing it around. We were joining up, linking play. I actually thought Mike Fondop had a pretty good game yesterday. He won a lot of headers. He put himself about. I thought he was unlucky to go off. But then Joe Garner carried on that work of just hassling and getting stuck in. And I was stood next to my mate Aidan, and we were watching. We just said for a minute, just watch Garner for a couple of minutes, just see what he does. He's literally pulling people, elbowing them. It's brilliant to watch. We're all both laughing at him. Yeah. So for that half an hour, we played well, but that's because we were getting players beyond the strikers or joining the strikers. So we had options.
But the formation, back to personnel v formation thing, I think just that Pett and Woods sitting alongside each other in front of the defence, that's their role, and they'll do it, and they'll just, because the idea is that those two are supposed to provide the cover for the wing backs who are pushing on. That's why you play those two defensive midfielders. But when you've got a flat back four, your defence, your full backs aren't pushing on as much. You've got cover from Woods for when they do push on. And then Woods has got 3 midfielders and 2 strikers ahead of him. He's got 5 men automatically ahead of him when he gets the ball, and it makes all the difference. And it players to pass into that space. And so for whether it's the formation, whether it's the players, there are combinations that work better than others on a football pitch. That's why the manager doesn't just say to them, right, I'm going to pick you 11, go out and do what you want. You give it some structure. You weigh up the opposition. I think as you get higher and higher and higher up the levels, you've got to worry more about the opposition because you've got better footballers, you've got more ability, you've got more quality, you've got more mavericks like Stevens, to worry about. I think at this level, the better team will win, and the better team tends to play to its strengths. And I think the conversation that we've been having, we know that we've not got the best team in the division. We know that we're in a rebuilding process. We know that we've got a couple of pretty good, exciting attacking players in Mickey Mellon Jr. and Stevens, who's just coming back into the side. I think we started to see some of the best of Hawks, but unfortunately he got injured, which was a shame. He was another new signing. So there are those players, but again, they've got to be playing to their strengths. And let's hope now against Tranmere. Tranmere, for goodness sakes, we all love to beat Tranmere. We hate to get beat by Tranmere. Obviously, Mickey Mellon's got history there. So,
have you seen? We've sold the Tranmere have sold out, obviously, because it's not that far a journey. But we've only sold them the top tier of the Chaddy end, haven't we? And I saw a few of their fans moaning the other week about us not releasing the bottom tier. I do find that curious, I have to say. When you're trying to generate as much income as you possibly can, and you've got a team like Tranmere come into Boundary Park, they could sell 2 or 3 of those blocks in there. I know one of them, they've used a lot of seats to repair broken seats throughout the ground, which is why it's constantly covered up by that black tarpaulin. But there's blocks there that they could have sold presumably and generated more money. One assumes it's something to do with Greater Manchester Police placing restrictions on how many can attend, and or if you have a certain amount of fans in the ground, then the policing and the stewarding bill probably increases. So there's possibly a balance between how much more money you have to pay out versus how much more money you have to get in. So I'm hoping people at the club have done a business case and worked it out. But you wouldn't want us to be turning money away, would you? That seems to be a bit of a shame. And particularly, imagine if the boot was on the other foot, right? Imagine we can sell that away end out at Tranmere. I'm pretty sure we probably get close to it, like we have done many times before. If they restricted us to only half of it, we'd have the right ass with them, wouldn't we?
Absolutely.
So I kind of feel from a little bit. Can I just read some stats out to you? So this is I'll source the stats this week. The stats they're on Twitter for everyone to see. So we've got our very own supercomputer Paul Prendergast and North Korea's very own Adam Kershaw chatting to each other on Twitter this morning. So Prozac has said 1 league goal in the first half since September. 11 times we've gone behind, and out of those 33 points available in those 11 games, we've recovered 5 points. And then Adam has said he's gone back over every league game since Mellon took charge, and he's including the playoffs in these numbers, 78 games, and we've gone behind in 42 of those 78 games, and 11 of those games have been 0-0. So we've actually only gone ahead in 25. Of those 42, we've gone on to lose 18, draw 17, and only win 7. So just to kind of support what we've been saying this morning is, we do need to get in front in games because we have a better chance of winning if you score the first goal. As soon as you concede, you know you're on an uphill battle. We did well yesterday to get in the lead from being in a goal down. And that goal, it was right in front of us actually. There was a throw in contested over whether it was their throw or our throw. They took the throw in, and 2 passes Shimanga had scored. And you're like, how have they got on the pitch that quick? And nobody's put a tackle in. So it was poor defending. And Month was definitely wrong side, wasn't he? If Shimanga has got in.
I don't think Month knew he was there.
Say again?
I don't think Month knew he was there until it was too late.
Yeah.
Well, he often sort of like he does get caught out in position sometimes, but he uses his strength and his pace and he gets out of it. But this lad was too quick and too strong and too wary and got away from him. But Nick, in terms of the statistics that Andy's just read out, and rumours are abound that Mickey Mellon has already signed or got a 2-year agreement. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But based on that, I've got a lot of time for Mickey Mellon. I think a lot of us have. Is he the right man to take us forward and get us out of this division? Is it one thing in the National League? Is it another in the Football League? If he does stay in charge, does he need to sort of adopt a new philosophy to start getting us in front? Because those statistics that Andy read out does suggest that the way he sets up is defensive first.
Would I give Mickey another contract? Yes, I would. I'm all for a steady ship. Ever grateful for what he did to pull us out of the National League and everything else. I don't know if it was last week or the week before when you touched on the fact that when he was preparing this squad, he was probably preparing for another season in the National League. And I think that's apparent now. I think it was a valid point that you guys made. And when you look at it from that perspective, to be a mid-table team in League Two at this point with a team that he prepped for the National League, I think we all need to give our heads a wobble, calling for his head. And yeah, I would definitely give him another season. I would expect that not much is probably going to happen in January with regards to transfers, but I think come towards the end of next season, there'll be a little bit of money chucked towards him. He can have a look at it again. There'll be a few players out, a few players in. And I think that next season, potentially playoff candidates. But I think to be a mid-table team, if you go back 12 months ago, where we was 12 months ago, it was, we just had all them injuries and we were struggling to hold a playoff position. And we took a massive dip, didn't we, through to December, January. If you'd have said to me in December last year, listen, you're going to be in League Two, you're going to be a mid-table, mid-table team, you're going to go out there and survive, and it's going to be another season when you start with a little bit of something to celebrate, I'd have pulled your right arm off. And that's where we are, right? That's where we are now.
Hallelujah and praise Nick Mort. Right? I'm literally I'm on board your preaching hill, and yes, that's Sue. I'm gonna totally agree with you. It's about.
Can I just ask you a question? Can I ask you a question, Andy? So we all see the Twitter accounts and you meet people in the pub and they share their opinions and stuff like that. Did you have conversations yesterday with the fans at Crawley and what was the perspective on the terrace?
Yeah, I mean, most of the people that I spoke to would have some view, in and around the one that that Nick's just shared very eloquently, and I completely and utterly agree with, and was trying to voice last week or the week before or whenever. Most people are in and around that sort of position. There's a tinge of frustration at the style of the football, isn't there? Which is the point you've been trying to make over the last few weeks. There's a tinge of frustration over that. But most people, I think, can see the bigger picture that I spoke to yesterday. There's one or two that are a bit like people. There were a handful of people booing at halftime. I'm like, I just don't see the point. Like, it's not, what's it going to do? Like, yes, it was a poor first half. I agree. I said as much. I'm not going to boo my own players. I clapped them off at full time as I was walking around the pitch, because they put in a good half hour's worth of work in that second half. It's a shame we couldn't hold on for the win. But my perspective and my expectations are that mid-table's fine. I don't expect to go up. I don't expect to go down. We're about the same points off the playoffs as we are the relegation zone. Still have been for weeks. I'm like, it's fine. I'm genuinely cool with it.
Look, I agree. I agree with both of you. But I do think that if the manager just trusted his players a little bit more, to rather than pack it, because look, it's a bit, you can argue one or the other. I think that if he's a bit braver in his selection and his philosophy, because I think it sets that. I think the way that he sets the team up in that first half yesterday, that despite of what he says, it just creates a situation, doesn't it? And those stats really do back it up. So I just think that he's got some decent. We're not necessarily out of the promotion push this season, and we could get closer just by if we get ahead in games, and we have the opposite of what we have done in the last two seasons, and we have a good second half to the season.
I think the adrenaline of last year is like a drug, and we're all chasing that adrenaline. Do you think that's what it is?
I think that's kind of some people's expectations or demands that we should be pushing the playoffs. I just think are unrealistic. But I
don't demand it or expect it. I just think that we've seen this is.
I think those that are booing Mellon or giving Mellon stick last week, and those that are booing I just think you've got to be a bit realistic. Can I just throw some other stats at you just for the pure sport of it? Right, I'm going to get at least half the listeners really annoyed now. They're all going to be shouting at me.
Definitely do it then.
Yeah, definitely do it then. Yeah. Do you know what the XG score was yesterday? No. We know the real score was 2-2, but the XG score yesterday, if I find it and read it out to you, was Crawley 1.84, Oldham Athletic 2.14. Right? Do you know? You should get an extra point for this XG thing.
Do you know
what the XG score was against Walsall in the week? No, we lost 1-0. The XG score against Walsall was Oldham Athletic 1.32, Walsall 0.71. Guess where we are in the XG league? What position in the XG league out of the 24 teams in League Two do we currently sit in?
Obviously, the new season of Stranger Things is out. This is like the upside down, isn't it? This is the alternative reality that we don't actually live in. I'm going to say that we're top of that division, Andy, in the upside down.
No, don't be ridiculous. Nick, where are we in that division? We are currently fourth. Just trying to get into the top three automatic promotion places. We're behind Barnet, Salford, and Grimsby. We're fourth in the XG League. I think. I know some of it's a nonsense, but I think if you just bear in mind that actually what some of these stats are telling you is we're well in games, and if we could just convert some of these chances, we would be higher up the league. And so I don't sit here like, when some people are like, oh, if we lose, we're going to get in the relegation. I'm like, don't worry about that. We're miles off that. We're miles better than that. We'll be all right.
Yeah, and we've got Tranmere and Grimsby the next two games. Grimsby are actually, and they might be top of the XG League, but they're on a really bad run. And I think Tranmere and Grimsby are the two teams above us in the league now, and we've got them next. So it's a Christmas. I'd love a happy Christmas. I don't care about Christmas. One thing that would make me happy over Christmas is Oldham winning. That would make me a happy Christmas, because it never usually happens. But I think, I just mention that. Let's just mention quickly. I don't know what it was like in the ground, Andy. You can tell us. For those of us watching it, Nick, we were like, "What the hell's going on here with that penalty at the end?" I think that Mellon referenced it, and it looked like all the hard work. Point. Okay, we probably should have won the game, but then it looked like we were going to lose it right at the end. It was crazy.
Well, the weird thing is, and obviously that was at the other end of the pitch from where we were. We were behind the goal at the other end. So the first thing I'll say is, I think he bottled 2 penalties before that. So I think it looked to me like we should have had a penalty.
There was a definite shirt pull.
Definite shirt pull. He was close to being on the edge of the area. I don't know whether it was just outside or just in, but he absolutely
didn't give it. Was it the Jet Leak one where he burst into the 18-yard box? I think the foul was 3 yards outside of the box, and he tried to make it to the 18-yard box to get a penalty. To be honest,
give us a free kick on the edge of the box then. But he definitely free kick. He absolutely bottled it because he was frightened. Now then, they had a penalty shout a bit later on where somebody got tripped, and you could see him even it up. You know when refs do it, I can't give that one because they didn't give that one. So he evened it up. But once he got that evening up out of his mind, then I felt if anybody went down in the box again, he would definitely give the next one, or if there was any infringement in the penalty area, he'd give the next one. Garner had a little run into the box. And what was really funny about it is he was looking for the leg to fall over, and everybody whipped their legs out of the way. So he sort of stumbled forward with no leg to fall over. If he'd have found the leg and gone over, I reckon the referee would have blown straight away and given it. So as soon as they appealed for handball. I honestly couldn't see it from our end of the pitch whether it was or it wasn't. But they appealed for handball, and he just blew straight away and put to the penalty spot. So you're like this, like, oh, crying out loud, I can't believe we're going to lose it from here. But the reaction of every Latics player told you that something was amiss because they don't go that mental. They went absolutely berserk. So I don't know what it hit. It was either it could have been. It hit the Crawley player's arm, but because him and Garner were kind of intertwined a little bit, very close together, they've called it, but it clearly hit the Crawley player's arm. It went absolutely ballistic, and I don't really know what happens because you could see them going to the fourth official, like Mellon said, over on a touchline, and then all of a sudden the lino would come in and was sort of getting the referee's attention. And once he walked over to the lino, you were like, I'm pretty sure he's going to overturn this now, because he obviously knows he's made a cock up. But so I mean, that was fair and reasonable, but. I hate it when refs bottle it and don't give decisions and then even it up because you just like you're doing that. You know why you've done it, but it is what it is. When I went there yesterday, I said on the way down to my lads and people I spoke to, I'd take a point. Any point away from home's fine. So when I got in, I was happy enough with a draw. It always feels a bit worse when you lose a lead. And we said last week I didn't expect us to beat Walsall. We weren't particularly good in the week. So I'm kind of what I expected. It's par for the course. I don't feel like we're not overachieving, we're not underachieving. We're pretty much bang on. Mellon could do with trying to let the shackles off a little bit and let everyone relax. But other than that, I'm pretty chilled, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
I'll tell you who won't be chilled.
Well,
Nick won't be chilled when we do Latics, man, though, will he?
Well, will he? How do you usually get on with it, Nick?
I mean, I'll be honest. I struggle with chronology. So the minute you say in 2015, my head goes all over the show. and I don't really have a great memory either. So if I get one, I'll be happy. If I get two, I'll be happy. That's it. If I get three, it'll be a miracle.
Well, I can tell you that the Latics Mind supercomputer has actually supplied some Christmas and New Year themed questions for the next couple of weeks. So we've got some special Christmas themed ones.
Good luck, Nick. Latics Mind is sponsored by Oldham Athletic Supporters Foundation, investing in the fans, the club and the community. Join today at oasf.co.uk for just £12 a year. OASF, because we're stronger together.
What was unique about Latics' 3-0 defeat to Blackburn Rovers at Boundary Park on Boxing Day 1981?
I wasn't even born. Orange ball snow.
No, it should have been at Ewood Park, but their pitch was frozen, so it was reversed. Who was Latics' manager on Boxing Day 2015?
2015. Pass.
What was the score on Boxing Day last season against York?
2-1 York.
Wrong, it was postponed because of fog. Latics play at Grimsby Town on Boxing Day this season. The last time we played at Blundell Park on Boxing Day was in 2003. What was the score that day?
Grimsby 2-0.
It was 3-3. How many goals did Latics score over the festive period, that's 3 games in total, of the 2006-2007 season?
0.
It was 11. Discounting Mickey Mellon, who was our last manager to celebrate more than one Boxing Day in the Latics job?
Harry Kewell.
Wrong, it was Lee Johnson. When was Latics' last home win on New Year's Day?
2020.
It was 2024 against Hartlepool. Who was Latics' manager on Boxing Day in 2019?
That was Kewell, were it? No?
That was Dino Marmaria. Who was Latics' manager on Boxing Day 2021?
2021. Kewell.
No, that was Selim Benachour. I've started, so I'll finish.
Oh, yeah.
One more. How many times did Latics play on Boxing Day in the 1990s? So that's obviously 10 years you can have a pop at. How many times did we play on Boxing Day out of those 10 years?
Oh, we'll go for 8.
It was 7. Unlucky, Nick. I think there was one pass in there, Matt.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
Let me find it.
It was who was the manager on Boxing Day in 2015, wasn't it?
Correct.
Is that right?
Yeah.
There's so many managers, isn't there? To choose from. It's like Nick said about the chronology. It's just kind of like trying to remember. 2015.
Was it Shezza? Was Shezza back around that time?
I think he always came back in January, didn't he?
Yeah. Who was it, Andy?
It was David Dunn.
Was it? Oh my God!
What year was Kewell then? Kewell was around the 20s, wasn't he? What year was Kewell?
He was COVID, wasn't he? It was the COVID season.
COVID, yeah. 2020, 20. I'm not sure when he was sacked. When he was sacked in January, was he sacked in January?
Probably.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just too much going on there, isn't there?
You know what's sad as well? But while I was waiting for you guys, I was looking at managers and stuff and trying to memorise it all. I did a bit of research on the 5 £1 million players because that's been a question every week. It didn't come up.
It has, but I've done all those 5 questions now, so they've already got.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. So anyway, how did you do at home? Did you do better than Nick, or did you like me and Nick? We didn't get one between us, Nick. So never mind. I didn't get any of the others either. I don't think. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Could have got the York one about it being postponed.
Yeah, I got that one actually. To be fair,
it's a good one. That one.
It was like, it was a bit of a trick question. Yeah. So listen, the only points that matter now are the ones that are coming up over Christmas. So, where are we in terms of the podcast, Andy? I guess we're going to do one next week after the Tranmere game.
Yeah, we're going to,
and then we'll be having a little bit of a Christmas break, will we?
So so after the Tranmere game, we've got Chris Lever on next week as fan guest. Then there's no pod the week after because it's obviously in between Christmas and New Year. And then I'm not sure we'll get one in after that because I think the Bromley away game is actually on the Sunday, isn't it? It is. So we won't be able to record that one either. So our first one back in the New Year is probably looking like the 11th of January podcast for Notts County at home.
That's a heck of a break, Andy.
Well, it looks like Dave will have to help you fill the gap with the phone in, won't it?
Well, we've got Thursday. Yeah, we could do on. Maybe we could do a phone in on the 30th or something like that, because after the Walsall game, which is on the 29th, I think maybe we'll do that. Because Thursday is New Year's Day, sorry. And obviously Latics are at home to Chesterfield that day. So yeah, well, you follow us on the socials and all that lot, don't you? So we can we'll keep you informed on what we're going to do. The Boundary Park Alert System is sponsored by Pendle New Tech, a family-run Lancashire business you can rely on for everything fire safety related, including supply and installation, maintenance, testing, certification, alarms, risk assessments. Like I said, anything fire safety related. But what do I know? Visit pendle-nu-tech.com and they'll sort you right out. Check the show notes for more information. Well, I believe, Nick, you've got to go to a party shortly.
We're off to see Santa Claus and loads of other kids and what have you. A bit of a Christmas party on the local town hall.
Are you going to ask Santa for how many points are you going to ask Santa for out of the next two games then, Tranmere and Grimsby?
I'd say I think we'll take 3 at Tranmere. I think the lads will be up for it. Mickey Mellon will be up for it. I think we'll take 3 at Tranmere, and I'll be happy with 1 at Grimsby. So if you can give me 4 points over the next 2, I'll be more than happy.
I will take that all day long. Yeah, Andy, do you fancy that as a points tally for the next 2 games?
I'd take that. Yeah, I would. I'm not. Like you said before, we tend not to have fantastic festive periods, do we? No. Any upland in our recent years' form would do me. I think I agree with what Nick said earlier. I think Mickey Mellon had been quoted in the week speaking to the Oldham Times about the January transfer window and the unlikely there'll be much business. I think we have to move Nick said we have to move players out before we get them in. I imagine that will be the case because I know for sure that he'd already done his budget and then a bit on top of his budget during the summer. Players in he's got. The only name I've seen as linked with, which was an article written by Alan Nixon, obviously who's I think former Sun reporter. It was a chap called Tommy McDermott, who's a young under-23 midfielder on loan at Shrewsbury from Burnley. There's obviously a Burnley link there with some of the players that we have in our squad. So maybe there's a bit of that. He's a central midfielder. He actually scored against us for Shrewsbury at Boundary Park earlier this season. So for me, if you were only able to sign one player in January, I would be trying to sign a player in midfield that has legs.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Look, I mean, I know, Andy, you're very zen about the whole thing and that, but we do need to start getting the odd win here and there if we're going to, keep ourselves fairly zen for the rest of the season. I do, looking at Newport and Harrogate, they look like they're really struggling. So Bristol Rovers, absolutely.
Unbelievable.
But,
yeah.
Their manager this morning, aren't they?
Yeah, sacked him, yeah.
This morning,
Darryl Clark was a manager that I think a lot of Latics fans would have been absolutely happy to have seen here when we were just before Mellon came in after Unsworth, basically, because he'd had a great record at Bristol Rovers. He got Port Vale promoted, hadn't he, with the likes of Conlon and Pett in the side. He'd gone to Barnsley, might have even been in the Championship if not top end of League One. So it's a real surprise that he's failed there this time around.
And didn't you mention you were doing the budget thing, weren't you, the other week, where you were that report? And Bristol Rovers' budget was up near the top, wasn't it?
I think it was pretty high. I mean, they obviously get some of the larger attendances in the division, and they only came down from League One last year, didn't they? So there was an expectation that there'd be playoffs this season. So it's a spectacular failure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all 4 other clubs failing spectacularly and keeping us safe, absolutely, especially if we're not winning it. So come on, Latics. Let's have a win against Tranmere. There's nothing would cheer us all up before Christmas more than a win against Tranmere at Boundary Park. That'd be absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So let's hope we can do that. And then 3-3 for the Travellers to Grimsby. Another 3-3 Boxing Day entertaining game would be fantastic for everybody. So let's hope that it's a Merry Christmas for us all. So we'll see. Like I said, we've got the phone in. We'll do the phone in on Thursday, and then we'll do the podcast on Monday after the game. Nick, thanks very much for joining us, mate.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Nice one. Cheers, pal. Andy, nice to see you as always. And we'll see you all very soon. Enjoy your weekend. What's left of it. In fact, enjoy your week, because you get this on a Monday, don't you? Okay, I've done. I'm clearly losing the plot. I'm off. Bye.
Hey Dave, did you know that listeners can now buy us a coffee or any other kind of hot beverage?
Ooh.
What's your favourite hot beverage, Dave?
A macchiato.
And how do you like your macchiato?
Black with lots of milk. Oh.
No cream?
No.
Well, if you want to buy Dave a
macchiato,
then go to buymeacoffee.com/We Are Oldham. I'll just have a Nescafe.
Ooh. Thank you, listeners.